Welcome to the Luxe Leap. I'm your host, Réland Logan, and together we'll explore the big moves, smart strategies, and extraordinary branding behind unstoppable businesses. So I have a question. What does it take to build a truly high-performing team in a world of constant disruption? Daria Rudnik is the team architect and executive leadership coach, author of Clicking, and co-author of The AI Revolution. A former chief people officer and ex-Deloitte professional, she brings over 15 years of international executive experience to her work with leaders around the globe. Having lived in 3 countries and worked with clients across 6 continents, in case you're curious, that means all of them because nobody really lives in Antarctica, Daria has helped leaders from the Fortune 500 companies and fast-growing startups navigate everything from global financial crises and wars to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, she helps executives build resilient, high-performing teams through a powerful mix of team coaching, leadership development, and AI-powered coaching tools she created, designed specifically for a world that never, ever stops changing. Please welcome the strategist helping leaders and teams thrive in times of uncertainty, Daria Rudnik. Hello! I told you, I jinxed myself. And here we are, but we are so lucky to have somebody as incredible as you on this show. Your experience is mind-blowing, and I'm really excited to dive in today. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Réland. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I love listening to your show, and being here as a guest is a great pleasure and honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, all minds want to know when you pop on the Luxe Leap, what inspired your Luxe Leap, that bold move that started your journey from ordinary to extraordinary?
That's a tough question straight from the beginning. I always dreamt big. And I remember when I just graduated from college, and I was looking for my first job. I found my first job. I was a receptionist at some company. Like, that was really, really some damn job. And I was looking for another role, and I was kind of looking for a salary, I think like 3 times higher than I had at that time. And someone looked at and found my CV and saw my expectations, and I was kind of like, you're never gonna get that. I said, okay, maybe not now, but believe me, I'm gonna get a lot more.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. But keep going. So you got it. I mean, eventually you went from receptionist to chief people officer.
Exactly, yeah. And then that was the time when I joined Deloitte, and it was I learned a lot from companies I worked with because of the culture that they had, because of the experience I had, and I was lucky actually to be involved in major transformations, like setting up offices in other countries, cultural transformations, pandemic, global financial crisis, military conflicts. I was leading companies through that, both as a chief people officer and then as a consultant and leadership coach. And now and then I was chief people officer for tech and telecom companies. But at some point I said, okay, I want to focus on what I love doing best and what I can do best, which is helping leaders build amazing teams. Teams that are ready for any disruption, teams that feel well together, that perform well together, because we spend so much time at work, we deserve to be happy at work. So that's what I do now, helping leaders build amazing teams.
That is incredible. So, I mean, you're very ambitious. It is a beautiful thing to be. How did your personal story influence the brand that you built?
Again, I know there are a lot of people who've achieved much more than I did. And it's kind of, for some people, and I see these people, for some people it's, I'm never going to be there. For me, it's, okay, I might never going to be there. But it's a kind of a ladder, and you climb that ladder, and whatever you climb, you get the higher possible. And when you want something, try it out, see if it's working. If it's working, to write for Forbes Coaches Council, Okay, go for it. If you can't do that, okay, no problem. Find something else. And then get back to Forbes Coaches Council and they'll get you and accept you and they'll be happy to have you and publish your articles like they did for me. I mean, it's not just you just go ahead and have everything you wanted, but step by step, writing articles, writing a book, building your brand, aiming high is actually what helps to create what you have right now.
I really love that angle that it's like, listen, like no doesn't have to mean no. It just means not right now. In these situations, everybody, no means no in other situations. And we'll leave that there. We're all women. We understand what that means. But it doesn't mean that like just because that door closed, there aren't going to be other doors open to you in order to achieve the goals that you're seeking out. And I think that's really important feedback. Especially for women who are sitting and listening and they're like, oh, I want to leave my job, or like, I don't know what to do, or I want to go for that promotion. I think that sometimes we start to like cage down and we're like, okay, well, clearly it's not for me yet. I don't think it's up to anybody other than yourself to make that decision. And so I really appreciate the message behind that. So you ventured on your own. You've written books. You have a successful business. When was the moment you realized your brand had momentum and people really got it?
Well, there were several times, and it's kind of the ups and downs.
Yeah.
I was building my brand as a chief people officer. I was going to conferences, I was speaking, I was meeting people. People knew me, they knew my title, they knew companies I was working with, and I had my brand, and people were saying, "Hey, are you the Daria Rudnik? And are you the person that I've heard of?" And that felt good. But then I went to maternity leave and kind of focused on something else. And at some point, I even thought, I don't want to go back to HR. I don't want to be that. Like with HR, I want to build something else. I've built something else. But I really lost a lot from my previous connections and from my previous brand. And although I thought I might never need it, well, as a matter of fact, I did. And I had to kind of rebuild it all over again. And then when I quit my corporate career, I started building my brand as a consultant, as a leadership coach, as a team architect. That was another story, because that's another way of building a new brand. And if I had those connections that I didn't keep back then, it probably would be easier for me. So you can rebuild anything. You can. It's just if you keep those connections and you keep this thread of your brilliance, it'll help you whatever path you're choosing.
That is amazing, because I think that sometimes we underestimate how important our network is. And I don't want people to get over strategic about it. I think it's about building friendships and like really truly being there for people. And you're right, you can rebuild anything. It might feel really tough in the moment, but you can truly rebuild anything. The only thing you can't rebuild back is like if something dies or someone. But that's the point of life, if we're being honest. It's a cycle of rebuilding. It's a cycle of growth. Like everything has its season. And I appreciate that. So when you think of your brand today, how would you describe the unique energy or essence of your brand in like one sentence? Fun answers only.
Well, bad sense of humor. No sense of humor. That's my answer.
You're like, I'm ready to answer. What?
When people talk about me, like what I do and how I can help them, no one says funny.
I know.
Ever.
Okay, we'll take your serious answer and then we'll see if we can make it into a fun one. Oh, that was beautiful.
Again, what I like doing and what people praise me for is being strategic and helping them see bigger picture. because in many cases we kind of narrow it down. So in everything I do, whether it's a LinkedIn post, an article, a book, okay, how can you see a bigger picture? How can you connect the dots? Because that's how you can build anything, rebuild anything. That's how you actually move to the next step, because you see not just what is in front of you, which is sometimes scary, but you kind of broaden the perspective and see more options and see more opportunities. So I focus my brand on that. I write about that. I build my brand about that, and people appreciate that.
Oh, I love it. Fun answers only. Now I have to come back to that. I'm like, my answer wasn't even fun. It was kind of mean, which means I now have to say it out loud because everyone's going to be like, well, what do you think is mean? Mine was, I help you see the big picture, because all of you are just like focusing this like little iota of a thing and it doesn't matter. Okay, maybe that was kind of funny. Yeah, we'll circle back to that. Alrighty. So when you look back on the past year, it's been 12 months, obviously have gone by. They always do. But what decision or strategy most contributed to your growth in this past year?
That was the year of consistent writing. Like really,
Okay.
I published my book last year, and what made it happen is that I was very, very deliberate and consistent in doing that every day, because that's not, I was writing this book for 5 years. I started in 2020, didn't finish it, started again in 2022, didn't finish it. And then in the end of 2024, I started writing again. And that's when I became very, very deliberate about writing it every day. So I think last year was the year of, again, I say it again, deliberate.
You're like consistency, deliberate. Well, and I think that if when you're consistent on writing, I hate writing. And I know there's a lot of folks who know me and they don't believe me when I say that. I do. I hate writing. Sorry, Laura Belgrade. But I prefer talking. I really do. I think that when you do write consistently, you can sort your ideas out in a way that you can get to the root of what you really believe. And you can do that talking too, but I think that there's a certain energy that has to also a level of determination is not what I'm looking for. Discipline. A certain level of discipline that has to take place. Like I have to talk into the same chat GPT thread and then like have it organize my thoughts, but not change it to sound very AI driven. I'm like, no, I just need you to like take how I said it and piece it together for a second so I can read it not all over the board. Without changing my voice in any type of way. So I think there are tools now for talkers like myself. Like there's that one Pocket AI thing that records everything if you attach it to your phone. The world is, like you said, changing at such a rapid rate. Oh my good golly. And yet, like a girlfriend posted on one of my posts, I can look that up. I have a handy dandy cell phone in front of me, you know? Oh my goodness. I have so many apps on this silly thing. Alrighty, let's see here. Kristen commented. Okay, so it was on somebody else who was on the show talking about AI and women in AI. And Kristen had commented, she's like, I just heard that there's a 25% lower rate of AI usage among women compared to men. And then it was like so important that we start having this conversation. And I say all that to say because the world is changing so fast. I think it's really important that us as women are a part of that conversation, a part of leading. I think that, you know what, we have ups and downs as women, and we're just not going to negate that fact. Like right before I was born in the States, women were allowed to get credit cards on their own. That is not that long ago. I'm not that old. And, you know, you think of that, like women really having a place in the professional workplace started getting energy in the 80s. Now, I'm not going to negate the fact that women were in the workplace during World War II because they had nobody else. But then there was the return to home. And then we start seeing women like go for independence a little bit more in the 60s and 70s, but that wasn't really the point. And then we really start seeing women in the workplace in the 80s, still not common, women in leadership in the 90s, again, not that long ago. And women who are my age, your age, like we're kind of like, what do you mean we don't belong here? So, and we're starting to feel that push again of like, no, women shouldn't be there. I mean, at least in the States, which is its own pickle. But when we think about that and we think about how the world is moving and turning today, which I think many of us can agree is not the direction we'd like to see it go, hence the reason we have so much tension. We get wins, we get knocked down. It's an ongoing battle around here. But we think about all the changes we've seen. I mean, just think about it. Since we were kiddos, nobody really had cell phones, and then all of a sudden everybody had a cell phone. Nobody really had computers in their house. Some people did, and if you did, you were really lucky and you used floppy disks. Anybody remember what a floppy disk is? In case you're curious, it's now a button for you to hit save on your computer. And you went to the library to use a computer, and now it's like, if you don't have a computer in your house, like the whole world is like, well, how do you function? And the rise of .com, we've had so many wars since we were kiddos. I think about living in the States, like from 9/11 on has been more than my brain wants to handle. We had a whole pandemic. I missed 100,000 things that I could have listed because the world is out of control. You have helped people make change through those moments. But as we move into AI and as women, what changes do you foresee us needing to make in order to, I don't want to say gain control of leadership, but more of us need to be in leadership because hot damn, we need to fix this place. That was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you raised very important points here about the world is changing and not always. I mean, no, it's crazy. It's just
I love that both of us are like, we're just gonna roll our eyes at this point. We're done. Like, we're done.
I didn't hear the statistic about women using AI less. Maybe that's true. I mean, I'm really curious how, like, what kind of population is it in? What kind of countries?
Mhm.
Is it the U.S. market or global market? But since like we see less women in tech,
Yep.
probably it kind of reflected that we have less women using AI because AI kind of said, okay, it's some tech thing, and like I'm not a tech person, and that is the problem, not only with personal kind of usage when people start using your AI or afraid to use AI because it's something tech, but also when it comes to companies that are trying to implement AI and do this AI transformation in their companies. They kind of treat it as a tech transformation. Okay, let's implement a new tool, which is not like that, because there are a lot of fears. Some people are afraid of AI. Some people, on the other hand, they are very excited. They're overexcited about AI. They want to do everything with AI, including publishing their personal data into the AI, which is, I mean, something that you should never ever
Never
do.
do.
Yeah, and that's all because we treat AI as a tech tool, which it is not. It's not. It changes the way we think. It changes the way we collaborate. It changes the way we work, and becomes an integrated part of almost every tool you're using. I mean, within the next 12 months, we see AI everywhere. All the platform. Riverside has AI. Like, phones have everything has AI. If you don't have an AI, why should it exist? So it just we'll all be using AI, but we'll need to stop treating it as a tech tool. We need to be very mindful and cautious and about what we post, how we use it, and try and have fun with it.
I agree. I think it's interesting. Sometimes, and I think in the post that Kristen had posted on, it was Erica's episode about AI. And in that space, I vaguely remember, and if it wasn't Erica I was talking to, it was to Kenzie. And I was like, I probably live in a world where I use it every day, that I forget that there are still folks in the adoption curve who are just now realizing that it's a part of their everyday life. I do find that a little odd. But I have to remember that in many cases, I tend to be an early adopter and I'm surrounded by people who are using it. And so my world is very, I mean, I used it the other day to help me with my son's homework. I'm not going to lie, everybody, I had like no bandwidth to fight a 9-year-old on a book report. None. I had no bandwidth. And I was like, how can I make this like a workbook kind of situation to help him through it? So I literally was like, okay, my son is a fourth grader who has to write a 5-paragraph book report on the book Otter by Catherine Applegate. I go, I need prompts to help him write this because he was writing it his damn self. AI was not writing it. But I was like, I barely remember this book. And so then I had like all these prompts and I was like, okay, Grayson, tell me what made Otter different. Like, and so we could actually like write it. But I use it so much, and you're right. It is a part of everybody's everyday, even if they don't acknowledge it. Like we've had it for so long that I think some people don't realize that certain elements were AI. Like, for example, if you're on your iPhone, you're like, hey Siri, could you blah, blah, blah. Or if you're like, hey Alexa, those are all AI based tools, y'all. It doesn't like magically, they're not separate just because you just found out about ChatGPT.
Mhm.
So I think that we've always had some elements of it, and we've had it for a really long time before we had a name to it. And it wasn't just a Will Smith movie called iRobot. So it's very interesting watching, taking a step back and remembering that not everybody is at the same part of the bell curve that you are, that people are still coming along. And I it's honestly, some days it's like watching toddlers learn something for the first time, which is heartbreaking. I know. Sorry, everybody, if that's you. You're gonna get great at it, I promise. But it is something we need to have fun with. But I agree with you. Like it's not a date. It's not there for you to date. Okay. I remember watching a very interesting documentary about Japan and their lowering um birth rates and how everybody's in Tokyo and not really out in the country and all these things. But then it was like, they have artificial girlfriends. And I was like, excuse me, what? We need more human interaction, and that cannot be the end goal. We also don't need a Wall-E situation either. Have you watched Wall-E with your kids?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a depressing movie.
yeah.
Like, if none of you have watched Wall-E, go watch Wall-E. It's going to teach you what happens to planet Earth if we are hyper tech dependent, but also if you do not take care of nature. It's worst case scenario with a robot.
Very cute, Rob.
He is really cute. Wall-E. Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off of this tangent, but there is so much change happening. Tech change, social change. I'm sure I'm missing different types of changes, but those are the two that are on top of my head today. When you think about visibility, what has been the hardest part and what has finally worked?
The world since pandemic, kind of pandemic opened a lot of doors in terms of interconnections. Like we now realize that we can talk to, well, suddenly somehow, that we can talk to anyone on this planet, wherever they are,
Yeah.
because of technology, and just let's do it. And people started to talk, so it opened a lot of doors. I mean, you can build your global brand just by sitting in this room and talking to all those different people, publishing and posting something online. But on the other hand, it created a lot of difficulties, because I mean, it's hard to reach everyone because there's so many people and the world is so big. So on one hand, you have this opportunity to reach all of those people, and on the other hand, I mean, you kind of try to build those real connections with someone who is far away and who's probably never seen you and just read some of your posts, or and you had a conversation once a while, but you cannot go to lunch with them, or you cannot have a coffee with them, like real coffee. So, and like for my personal brand, it was a choice. Okay, do I go global? Do I go local? And I'm a big remote fan of remote work, remote connections, helping companies build remote teams. Because again, for me, flexibility and this field of opportunities is more important than the difficulties that it brings with connecting, like on the distance. So, like answering to your question, yeah, well, this changes.
Yeah.
You have access to anyone in this world, but you also need a lot of resources and power and willpower to make this connection, to make it happen.
You do. I mean, if you just think about just the second right now, you're in France, correct? That's where you are in the world right now?
I am in Israel.
You're in Israel. See, look, I can't even like keep track anymore. Every time
Yeah.
I have one lady that every time I blink, I'm like, "Oh, are you in Bali still?" And she's like, "No, I'm in Portugal now." I'm like, "Really?" Like, I'm clearly not living life fully. All right. That's right, because you went from Russia to Israel. Oh, girl.
Yes.
Still mind blown. Still, I remember walking away from our first conversation and going downstairs, and I was like, "You're not going to believe this." And Teal was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "I know, wild." Um, but just to think to your point, like you're sitting in Israel right now, not France. I am sitting in the States, and I just told you that I talked to somebody who's always in other places in the world. I think majority of my conversations yesterday were with people in different countries. And technology has closed those gaps so quickly. And I think when the only all right, I am not a religious person, so somebody's going to come for me because I'm going to tell this story wrong. All right, I'm just going to say that out loud. But I remember having this like kids' Bible book, and it couldn't have been more than like, I know most people are listening to this, so I don't know. I'm looking for something from like a band of thickness, like this box. Like I remember it was not thick. It was like a few short Bible stories, definitely geared for children. Lots of pictures, and this story. Someone's coming for me. I can feel it. No, today's the day I get canceled. It's fine. Um, they're building this. They're trying to build this building all the way up to heaven. Like that was the story. I remember this so vividly, and they all speak the same language. And then out of nowhere, I guess their egos got too big, or I think that's the point of the story is like they needed to be humbled. And when that happened, all of a sudden, that's why we have like countries and different languages. Very interesting way to describe that to a child, personally. But now that is the bear. It feels like we are building that tower again, that ability to reach heaven, so to speak. And the only thing that stops us sometimes is communication. But even then, I don't know that it matters anymore because if you think about it, you can go buy a pair of AirPod Pros and turn on Translate and it'll translate it in your ears. It is getting wild.
When you say that, I think it's so right, because like when we build this Babylon tower and trying to reach the skies, yeah, we do that. I think we do that all the time. And like every technological advantage is we want to reach the sky. We want to live up to 100 years, 150 years. We want to fly to the moon. We want to fly to Mars. We want to fly to another galaxy. Everything we do is we want to reach the sky. But communication problem is, and the things we don't understand each other, it's not about the language. It's about ego, and we don't want to understand each other. We want everyone to accept our position. I'm right. Like, how can you not understand? How can you not think the same way? And with this attitude, that's what's stopping us from really reaching the sky. We can learn any language. We can use AI to translate, but still, when we don't break this ego, and when we are not curious towards other people's opinions and thoughts, it'll be hard to reach the sky.
I think I can argue is not the right word to use in this moment because I'm definitely not here to argue with you. I agree. I do feel it is well, I think about this often. Like we are technically by Mother's Nature's standards supposed to be more of a matriarchal society. Everybody come for me in the comments. I know you're going to on YouTube, so just like bring it on, dudes. but that was Mother Nature's intention. And I do feel that if you use everybody's skills in the way that they're supposed to from a gender role perspective, men do have a great place. I think they are amazing doers. I think that they can get things done in a way that us women would sit and think about it and noodle and like collaborate. But I think you need both things. I think you need women to sit, like, we are push pause folks, and that is fine. I appreciate that about how we all operate. And so I wonder that if we did have that level of leadership, would we actually try to build to the sky, or would we try to build wide and ensure that most people were impacted and safe and healthy? Because getting us to the sky, unless it had a impact on the masses, would we do that, or would we try to take care of the people around us so the collective whole is better? Now, do I still think there'd be war? Yeah, there are some pretty damn crazy war general women through history. Hi, meet Cleopatra. But you know, meet Joan of Arc. Like, there are women who hold that ability. I know I hold that ability. I'm feisty as all get out. But I wonder, like, if we really did work with the way nature is intended, would we fight for that? Or would we only do it if we knew it was a means to greater safety? Because I don't know what we gain from going to Mars, per se.
I mean, I love the question. I mean, no one knows. And what I see is a lot of women fighting because they see men fighting and they kind of proving themselves and trying to take this position and wanted to be there by taking more masculine role and
Yeah.
mimicking what men do. And what's really kind of things that women are good at. Like, how would the world be different if there were more women voices there? I don't know, but I do I do hope it's what you say. I do want to believe that.
I want to believe it too. I'm like, I think we would just take care of people. To a certain extent. And like I'm going to acknowledge there are many women who are the opposite of that. I think they are the minority. Everybody in America just listed about 5 at the top of their head. It's okay. I listed them too. We're not giving them airtime. But I want to believe that there's so much food that goes wasted every single year that could have gone to communities that are starving. There's so much access in science to actually like find cures for things, yet we're putting money towards the wrong stuff and not those scientific ventures. Like, why do we still have childhood cancer? There's just so many things that I don't know that we need to build to the sky. We just need to build to make us better. And like I said, life has seasons. I understand that not everybody is meant to live forever. Nobody's meant to live forever. Please don't do that. Don't ever find that technology, please. But there's just intentionality that I think is really important. And I don't know that we are doing our best in many scenarios, but are we doing our best? You don't have to answer that question, Daria. That is
I have no answer to that question.
I know. That was a beefy question in and of itself. Okay. You're just making me think really deep about how the world is functioning, and clearly I'm not happy with it. So we're going to make change happen. So help me. So there are quite a few folks who help with leadership development, HR, like people change. How do you differentiate yourself from others in your space without feeling performative?
I think, well, first of all, everyone is unique because no one has experience like I had, like starting from a big four consulting company, going to chief people officer, doing international projects, moving from Russia to Israel, and helping leaders going through wars, financial crises, pandemic, etc. Everyone has their own unique, brilliant experience. On the again, and we all have our unique strengths and preferences. And I love working with teams. It's not just leaders, and it's not just, I don't know, career leadership or sales development or something else. It's how we work together as a team, how we grow together as a team, and more importantly, how we grow together as a team when AI is entering the workplace and influencing team dynamics. And there are very interesting practice that we need to acknowledge is, for example, that when teams work with AI, they start to adopt AI language. They start to speak like the same words that AI provided them. And no matter whether it's helpful or not, it's kind of subconsciously we kind of rely on what AI is saying to us. So being knowing how to work with AI so that we take what's right and we just throw away what's not right is very important. How our brain works when we interact with AI, because when we think something first, then ask for AI's output, and then work with it, our brain stays engaged. But when we give us answers to this question, and we kind of don't have our thinking first, our brain stays disengaged. We're not engaged in something that AI provided to us first without prior thinking. So these kind of interesting things and interesting dynamics are happening right now. I think, again, and a combination of all the skills and experiences that I have, that like other people have, that is the big differentiator.
No, and I love that, because you're right. You've done things that, I mean, I talk to a lot of HR consultants. I talk to a lot of leadership development coaches. And not a single person I can say has worked with folks on all 6 continents that actually have humanity on them. I like did that math real quick. I was like, well, wait a second. Does that say 6? Because you definitely can't just go do it for the penguins in Antarctica. Man, that is wild. Such a skill to have. Also, I have so many questions about it that we would be here all day, and you'd be like, ma'am, I have children. So on that note, when you think about that vast experience and all those places, what conversations or messages do you want to be known for leading?
Again, like I mentioned, how we work as a team, and especially in times of various disruptions, because again, there are global disruptions, there are local disruptions, companies going through mergers and acquisitions. That's a huge disruption for a team, for any team. Companies setting up office in another country, or launching a new product, or doing internal transformation, whether it's AI transformation, cultural transformation, or just organizational transformation. There's a lot of stress. And now, with everything that we talked about before, this stress influences people at work. Obviously, we think about politics, we think about economy, we think about, will I keep my job when AI is coming for me? There's a lot of fear, a lot of frustration, and the speed is so high, and leaders and team members, they constantly chasing another task to make this check. Okay, I've done that. I have something to prove that I am still like a valid part of this company. Please do not replace me. So I want to be seen as someone who helps actually teams and leaders take a deep breath, take a step back, and stop this hustle and start working together so that they can produce more and feel better.
That is amazing. And you're right. I think there's a lot of fear holding on to folks right now, and you can't have any of it without humanity, everybody. So it's a beautiful thing. Alrighty. This is my favorite question. And it's, anybody who's been listening for a while knows I switched them up. I don't know, maybe a few months ago. But lately, when I've been asking this question, I could ask some of them. Sometimes I don't ask all of them. But this question I've now felt I have to ask everybody. How do you define success for your brand today? And how has it evolved since you began?
For my brand, success is when people say what they think I'm doing is exactly what I think I'm doing.
That's fair.
And I've been successful so far. I mean, when people reach out to me and say, hey, I see you work with teams. I see you help teams. I see you talk about human AI collaboration. That's an interesting topic for me. Let's discuss and let's talk about it. I say, okay, good. No one's coming to me. Hey, how can I find another job?
Yeah.
So
Good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Ooh, it actually gave me an idea. All right. I know, everybody. Sometimes this is why I keep paper and pencil next to me every single day. That I go through. I now look like a legit teenager still, with old school paper, and there's only 2 pieces of paper left in this one, and I need to go to the store and buy another one.
That's my journal. I write every week. I
Oh,
write
you're like
with
okay, so you appreciate that I have like 3 different types of things to write on over here. Like, there's this one for to-dos, there's this one for like follow-ups. Like, it's a little, I'm sorry, everybody. I understand that I'm a forest killer. I do recycle. There's just something beautiful about like physically writing. Just the paper writer in me sees the paper writer in you, Daria. Everybody else is gonna be like, you're weird. Alrighty. So what's next for you, or what's the next bold move you're making?
Well, again, with this AI transformation and entering the workplace, there's so much to learn. I personally, I am not a tech person, but I built this AI coach. I've created some lines of code with the help of AI, and now I want to do more. I want to create my agents. I want to create some RAG databases. Like, I want to go deeper into this AI, not for the tech stack, not to be a technical person, but to really understand how it works and how it can help people, and how teams that I work with, what challenges they're facing when they start interacting with AI. Because again, some of my teams are tech teams, and even they feel frustrated. There's so many tools. What tools should we use? How we measure the results? How do we know which one is better? Like, all these kind of questions that come up. So for me, the next goal is really go deep into this human AI collaboration and how AI influences teams, and how we can have strong human AI agents teams working together and feeling, so that humans feel well. That's the most important thing.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I love that you're not like, okay, everybody, like, we have to have human AI interaction, but the fact that you are not just that, like, you are actually using it and testing it and being able to have those conversations full scope. Because I'm sure I can point to several people on the internet who I do not know well or at all. So I am making a snap judgment. But like, sometimes I will read the things that are like AI, and it's just like a bunch of hate over AI. And it sometimes makes me giggle. I'm not going to lie. I laugh really hard. I'm like, it's not going anywhere. So you can fight it and keep trying to shove all you want. But like, that's trying to push air, in my opinion. Like, just keep trying. Did it move for you? Sure. But the point I'm making here is like the fact that you will actually do the work yourself and show how you can integrate it, I think is such a beautiful piece. I do very similar things. Like, I actually messaged a girlfriend last night. I was like, 2 friends. I was like, I'm a genius. That was what I said, because I had built a new custom GPT. And I've built several custom GPTs, so there's nothing new there, right? There's nothing new. But like, I built one that really truly was like, I was taking it, I was testing it, and I was like, oh my goodness. It gave me only very few like AI feeling words. Like, when you said people start talking like AI, and all my brain hit was, here's the truth. And I was like, ugh, gross.
Here's the hard truth.
Yeah, here's a hard truth. That sounds canned. But it was going through it the way that I would talk. And I was like, wow. First off, I just think AI reflects back what you give it. So I have acknowledged now that AI is just reflecting back how I think back to me. And I'm like, There's moments where I'm like, wow, you really were not clear. And then there's other moments where I'm like, damn, you're intelligent. And to do that level of work, especially when it's not something that's natural to you or I, you are a people strategist, you build teams, like that is how your brain works. Like I am a creative strategist. I can see like where you need to go and like what the market needs and wants. That does not necessarily mean we are tech people, but the fact that you use it, Daria, is and test it before you give it to those teams, I think is really incredible. And I appreciate that you're the type of person who does that. Just so you know.
You.
You're welcome. You're like, wow, I wasn't expecting that much, but hey, here we are. Most people don't. It's sad. We need more people who are willing to try, test, and do, and not just say it to say it, but walk the walk. And I think that that's an important skill. Oh my goodness. We have made it to the end. It seems so wild that we've made it to the end. I could talk to you forever, but first and foremost, thank you. You could be on any podcast. You could be on podcasts much larger than this one, and you took the time out of your day to be here. So I'm really grateful. And curious, what would you like to share with the world, literally, because we're listening to it like 20 something countries. How can people work with you? How can they connect?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Réland. It was such a it was a lot of fun having this conversation with you. I laughed a lot. And yeah, I'd love to keep this conversation going. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can reach out and find me on my website, dariarudnik.com. And on this website, on the resources page, you can find lots of downloadable materials like team assessments, how to motivate your team, how to know if your team is overusing AI and how to fight it, and things like that. So I'm very open to connections. Reach out to me on LinkedIn and let's keep this conversation going.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Well, everyone, if today's episode has you rethinking how you're showing up, and honestly today, how you're showing up in a very deep manner. We went deep today. But to bring it a little bit more surface level, you're ready for a brand that actually turns heads. I would love to invite you to book your brand meet, a brand breakthrough. It's my video deep dive brand audit that helps you see exactly what's working, what's not, and what needs to shift to attract champagne clientele. And if we need to dive in deep on how to build a great team, don't worry, I'll just pull Daria into the mix. So you can grab your spot at graydigitalmktg.co. That's gray with an A. But it is the top button in the right-hand corner. It's green. Just click on it and start turning clarity into confidence. Because let's be honest, vanilla opinions don't pop bottles, and they're not going to incite the change that you want to see on your teams, in the world, and beyond. So thank you, everybody, for listening to us, whether it is the Thursday on the day that it dropped or any other day in the week. We're really grateful for your time. And if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, all those fun pieces that come with podcasting and YouTubing. It helps get the word out to many more women who are helping change the world. And we couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much, everybody. And until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.